Hello, everyone. Today we're going to look at the account of Daniel in the lion's den. Let's go to the book of Daniel, chapter 6, beginning at verse 1. Now, Daniel was an Israelite from the tribe of Judah who had been taken into captivity decades earlier as a young man. But despite being in exile far from his homeland, he had risen to positions of great power and responsibility. And this was due to his wisdom, his integrity, and also his exceptional abilities. So now an old man, he was one of the 3 top administrators overseeing the entire empire. And he had so distinguished himself that King Darius planned to set him over the whole kingdom. Now, this promotion, of course, ignited intense jealousy and resentment among the other satraps, that is the regional governors and administrators of the vast empire. And they searched for some grounds for complaint against him in his conduct of government affairs, but they could find none. We will never find any basis for charges against this man Daniel unless it has something to do with the law of his God. So recognizing that Daniel's unwavering devotion to God was the one area where he would not compromise, they devised a cunning political trap. And so they approached King Darius with a proposal that flattered his ego. They suggested that for 30 days, no one should pray to any god or man except the king himself. And this was a setup, of course, because they knew that Daniel would not stop praying to his God. Anyone who disobeyed this rule was to be thrown into the lion's den, a punishment that was certain to result in death. The decree once issued under the unchangeable law of the Medes and Persians could not be repealed, not even by the king himself. So Darius, likely unaware of the plot's true target, signed the decree into law. Now, when Daniel heard about the decree, he didn't hide his faith or compromise his principles. Instead, he went home, and this would have been known to his enemies. They followed him and watched him, and he went up as he always did to the roof of his house where the windows were open toward Jerusalem. And there he continued his custom of praying 3 times a day on his knees, giving thanks to his God, just as he had always done. His enemies swiftly caught him in the act and quickly reported him to the king, saying, "Listen, O king, you have made a law that for 30 days anyone who prays to any god or man except you, your majesty, shall be cast into the lion's den." Then the king asked Daniel, "Is it true that you will not serve my gods or worship the gold image that I have set up? If you refuse, you will be thrown into the lion's den immediately." Daniel answered the king, "Your majesty, my God is the God of heaven. He is the one you ought to fear, and him you must worship. He is the living God, and he will make you his kingdom last throughout all generations. But if you disobey him, neither your great power nor your mighty kingdom will be able to stand against the power of the God of heaven. Thus, he will drive out your kingdom and destroy it utterly. And you will be like the other nations of the world, your memory despised, accursed, and utterly wiped out." Then the king was enraged, and he commanded that Daniel be thrown into the lion's den. And the officials were commanded to seal his mouth with a stone in order to make sure that he would die. Now, it says that the king gave the order for Daniel to be thrown into the lion's den, but it was the Medes and Persians who carried out the sentence. It was these officials who actually placed the stone over the mouth of the den and sealed it with the king's own signet ring, making the execution official and irreversible. Now, the Bible tells us that the king spent a sleepless night, he fasted, he refused any entertainment. And at the first light of dawn, he hurried to the lion's den and called out in anguish, "Daniel, servant of the living God, has your God, whom you serve continually, been able to rescue you from the lions?" And a voice came from inside the pit, "O king, live forever. My God sent his angel, and he shut the mouths of the lions. They have not hurt me, because I was found innocent in his sight. Nor have I ever done any wrong before you, your majesty." Then the king gave the order to have him brought out. And when Daniel was lifted from the den, not a single scratch was found on him, because he had trusted in his God. It says that the king then commanded that the men who had falsely accused Daniel, along with their families, be thrown into the lion's den. But they didn't even reach the floor of the den before the lions overpowered them and crushed all their bones. Then King Darius issued a new decree to all the nations and peoples of his empire. "I issue a decree that in every part of my kingdom, people must fear and reverence the God of Daniel. For he is the living God, and he endures forever. His kingdom will not be destroyed, his dominion will never end. He rescues and he saves, he performs signs and wonders in the heavens and on the earth. And he has delivered Daniel from the power of the lions, and so Daniel prospered during the reigns of Darius and Cyrus the Persian. What are the main lessons we learn from this passage? What should we take away? First, we see here that Daniel was a man of unwavering faith. He prayed to his God 3 times a day, and he didn't stop, no matter what. Second, we see that this faith was rewarded. God heard Daniel's prayers, and he intervened in his behalf. Third, we see that Daniel's integrity and honesty were key to his success. He was faithful to his God, and he served the king well, which led to his advancement in the kingdom. Fourth, we see that Daniel was a man of courage. He wasn't afraid to speak the truth or to stand up for what he believed in. And finally, we see that Daniel's story is a message of hope for all believers. No matter what difficulties we may face, we can trust in God's power to deliver us. I hope you enjoyed this video and learned something new about the Holy Bible. If you did, please subscribe. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.